The approaching storm. The warning came at 0347 hours. Solar Standard Time. Deep Space Monitoring Station Cerberus, positioned beyond Pluto's orbit, detected the gravitational anomalies first. What began as minor fluctuations in spacetime quickly resolved into something that made Captain Elena Rodriguez's blood run cold. "Ma'am, you need to see this." Lieutenant James Parker's voice carried across the command center of Solar Defense Station Alpha, orbiting high above Earth's North Pole. The young officer's hands trembled slightly as he transferred the data to the main holographic display. Captain Rodriguez stood from her command chair, her experienced eyes scanning the three-dimensional representation of their solar system. What she saw there defied belief. Thousands of red dots moved in perfect formation toward their position, each one representing a starship larger than anything humanity had ever constructed. How many? She asked, though she dreaded the answer. 5,000 confirmed contacts. Captain, possibly more. The fleet stretches across nearly 2 million kilometers of space. Parker paused, consulting his instruments again. "Ma'am, based on their current trajectory and deceleration pattern, they'll reach Mars orbit in approximately 4 hours. The command center fell silent, except for the soft hum of life support systems. Every officer present understood the implications. Humanity had been spacefaring for only 90 years. Their most advanced warships were primitive compared to what was approaching. Earth's total fleet consisted of barely 300 vessels, most of which were exploration or cargo ships, hastily retrofitted with missile systems. "Get me Admiral Thompson," Rodriguez ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos brewing in her mind. "Priority Alpha communication." And patch Dr. Chun into the call. The holographic display shimmered, revealing 2 familiar faces. Admiral Sarah Thompson appeared first from her flagship Neptune's Fury, positioned near Jupiter. Her gray hair was pulled back in a regulation bun, but Rodriguez could see the strain in her commanding officer's eyes. Dr. Marcus Chun materialized seconds later from his laboratory on Titan, his lab coat wrinkled from what had clearly been another sleepless night, working on classified projects. "Captain Rodriguez," Admiral Thompson began without preamble, "I assume you're seeing what we're seeing. The largest alien fleet in recorded human history is about to knock on our front door." "Yes, ma'am. 5,000 ships, possibly more. Technology readings suggest they're at least 3 centuries ahead of us in terms of propulsion and energy systems." Rodriguez paused, then asked the question that haunted her. "What are your orders, Admiral?" Thompson's expression hardened. "Dr. Chun, is Silent Storm operational?" The scientist adjusted his glasses nervously. "Admiral, we've run thousands of simulations, but we've never tested the full network simultaneously. The power requirements alone are staggering. If we miscalculate the gravitational field interactions, we could accidentally create a black hole in our own solar system." "Doctor," Admiral Thompson's voice carried the weight of command. "In 4 hours, we're going to be facing an extinction-level event. Either we try Silent Storm, or we surrender our planet to an alien empire that has never shown mercy to conquered species. What's your recommendation?" Chun was quiet for a long moment, his eyes distant as he performed calculations in his head. "The network is theoretically sound. We've been secretly constructing gravitational wave generators for 30 years, disguising them as deep space research stations. Every major asteroid, moon, and planetary position in our solar system has at least one installation. If we can synchronize them properly, we can create gravitational anomalies that will literally tear apart anything within a specific spatial coordinate." Captain Rodriguez felt a chill run down her spine. She had known about Silent Storm for only 2 years since her promotion to Solar Defense Command. The project was so classified that fewer than 100 people in the entire solar system knew of its existence. To the galaxy at large, humanity appeared to be a peaceful species focused on scientific research and exploration. They had no idea that every research station humanity had built was actually a weapon of unprecedented destructive power. "Begin the activation sequence," Admiral Thompson ordered. "All stations, prepare for silent storm protocol." This is not a drill. Meanwhile, 2.3 million kilometers away, Commander Vextar of the Zephyrian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship Eternal Domination. The reptilian alien scales shifted from deep purple to bright gold, a sign of supreme confidence among his species. Around him, his officers prepared for what they assumed would be a routine planetary conquest. "Status report," Vextar hissed, his forked tongue tasting the recycled air of his ship's atmosphere. "My lord," responded his tactical officer, a younger Zephyrian, whose scales remained the dull brown of inexperience. "The primitive species appears to be mobilizing their pathetic fleet. Our sensors detect approximately 300 vessels moving to intercept us." Vextar's laugh was a sound like grinding stone. 300 ships against 5,000. These humans are either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. He paused, studying the tactical display. "What do our intelligence reports say about their technology?" "Primitive fusion drives, basic missile systems, and crude energy shields. Their most advanced ship appears to be some sort of research vessel with minimal defensive capabilities." "My lord, this species has been spacefaring for less than a century. They pose no threat to the Empire." The commander nodded with satisfaction. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 47 star systems over the past 3 centuries. They had perfected the art of planetary subjugation. Species like these humans always followed the same pattern: initial resistance, followed by desperate negotiations, and finally surrender when they realized the futility of opposing Zephyrian technology. "Maintain current approach vector," Vextar ordered. "Begin charging the planetary bombardment systems. Once we've eliminated their fleet, we'll demonstrate our power by destroying one of their smaller worlds. Fear will make the survivors more cooperative." Back on Earth, the activation of Silent Storm proceeded with mechanical precision. Dr. Chun monitored the process from his control room on Titan, watching as gravitational wave generators throughout the solar system came online one by one. Each installation had been disguised as something else. The station on Europa appeared to be studying ice formations. The facility on Ganymede supposedly researched magnetic field interactions. The massive installation built into the asteroid series was officially catalogued as a mining operation. "Station Alpha 7, confirming full power generation," reported one technician. "Station Beta 12, gravitational field generators at maximum capacity," called another. "Station Gamma 3, standing by for synchronization pulse," announced a third. Captain Rodriguez watched the status board as green lights appeared across a 3-dimensional map of the solar system. 37 installations, each one capable of generating gravitational waves powerful enough to disrupt spacetime itself. When synchronized, they could create a coordinated gravitational anomaly at any point within a 50 million kilometer radius of the sun. Dr. Chun, "Are we ready?" Admiral Thompson's voice carried across the communication channel. "As ready as we'll ever be, Admiral. All stations are reporting full power generation. Gravitational field harmonics are synchronized across the network. We have a targeting solution on the alien fleet's current position. Range to target? The enemy fleet will enter Mars orbit in 17 minutes. They're maintaining a tight formation, which actually works in our favor. A single coordinated pulse should affect their entire force structure." Commander Vextar noticed the human fleet's strange behavior as his ships approached Mars orbit. Instead of advancing to meet the Zephyrian force in open space, the human vessels had withdrawn to defensive positions around their homeworld. Actions puzzled him. Every military doctrine he had studied emphasized the importance of meeting an enemy fleet as far from your home system as possible. "My lord," his tactical officer reported, "the human fleet is maintaining position near there. Primary world. They're not advancing to intercept us." "Cowards," Vextar hissed dismissively. "They know they cannot win in open battle, so they retreat to hide behind their planet's defense systems. It matters little. We'll destroy them all the same." What Commander Vextar didn't know was that humanity had learned an important lesson from studying every military conflict in their history. Sometimes the best strategy wasn't to meet your enemy with superior force. Sometimes the best strategy was to let your enemy come to you, where you held every advantage. "Entering Mars orbital zone now, my lord," reported the navigation officer. "Excellent. Begin target acquisition on the human fleet. Prepare to demonstrate the power of the Zephyrian Empire." Dr. Chun's voice crackled across the communication network to every Silent Storm installation in the solar system. "All stations, prepare for synchronized gravitational pulse. Target coordinates are locked. On my mark, ... 3 ... Execute Silent Storm." The silent erasure of the universe held its breath for exactly 3.7 seconds. Across the solar system, 37 gravitational wave generators fired simultaneously, their invisible beams converging on a single point in space, with the Zephyrian fleet hung in perfect formation. The gravitational waves traveled at the speed of light, creating ripples in space-time, itself that carried more destructive power than any weapon ever conceived. Commander Vextar's first indication that something was wrong came when his flagship's inertial systems began screaming alerts. The artificial gravity that kept his crew oriented suddenly fluctuated wildly. Officers were thrown against bulkheads as the ship's internal systems tried to compensate for gravitational forces that shouldn't have existed. "Report." Vextar roared, his scales shifting to the angry red of combat alertness. His tactical officer's voice cracked with panic. "My lord, I'm detecting massive gravitational anomalies throughout our fleet formation. The distortions are off. The scale, it's as if space itself is being twisted. The first ships to die were the ones at the edges of the formation. The Zephyrian destroyer Venom Strike simply came apart, its molecular bonds disrupted by gravitational shear forces that pulled the vessel in different directions simultaneously. There was no explosion, no dramatic flash of light. The ship's atoms just separated from each other and drifted apart like cosmic dust." "Impossible," Vextar whispered, staring at his tactical display as red dots representing his ships began disappearing. Not destroyed, simply gone, as if they had never existed. Captain Rodriguez watched the tactical display on Solar Defense Station Alpha with a mixture of awe and horror. The alien fleet that had seemed so threatening just minutes before was dissolving before her eyes. Ships that had crossed interstellar space to conquer Earth were being reduced to their component atoms by forces they couldn't even comprehend. "Dr. Chun, status report," she requested, her voice barely above a whisper. "Silent Storm is operating within normal parameters," the scientist replied, though his own voice carried notes of disbelief. "Gravitational field coherence is holding steady. The alien fleet is experiencing complete molecular dissociation across their entire formation. On the flagship Eternal Domination, chaos reigned." Commander Vextar's ship shuddered as gravitational waves washed over it, twisting the vessel's superstructure in ways that violated every principle of engineering. The ship's hull groaned under stresses it was never designed to handle. "Emergency jump preparations," Vextar ordered desperately. "Get us out of this system immediately." "My lord, I cannot establish a hyperspace corridor. The gravitational distortions are preventing our jump drives from creating a stable space-time tunnel." The tactical officer's voice rose to a scream as more ships vanished from the display. "My lord, we've lost 60% of the fleet. The gravitational anomalies are intensifying. We need to withdraw beyond their effect range." But there was nowhere to go. Dr. Chun had calculated the range of Silent Storm perfectly. Any ship within 50 million kilometers of the sun was within the network's effective targeting zone. The Zephyrian Empire's greatest fleet was trapped in a web of twisted spacetime, being systematically erased from existence. Commander Vextar's last coherent thought was a realization that would have changed galactic history if he had lived to share it. The humans hadn't been building research stations for 30 years. They had been building the most sophisticated weapon system the galaxy had ever seen, disguised as peaceful scientific installations. While other species developed bigger ships and more powerful energy weapons, humanity had learned to weaponize the fundamental forces of the universe itself. The eternal domination lasted longer than most ships, its advanced shielding systems providing momentary protection against the gravitational shear forces. But even Zephyrian technology had limits. The flagship's hull began to stretch and distort as gravitational waves pulled different sections of the ship in different directions. Commander Vextar felt his own body being pulled apart at the molecular level as the bridge dissolved around him. His final transmission, broadcast on emergency frequencies to any Zephyrian forces within range, consisted of only 4 words: "Do not approach Sol." Dr. Chun monitored the gravitational wave patterns from his control room on Titan, watching as the readings gradually returned to normal background levels. Admiral, Silent Storm pulse complete. All gravitational field generators are powering. Down to standby mode. Admiral Thompson's voice carried across the communication network with barely restrained emotion. "Dr. Chun, Captain Rodriguez, status report on the alien fleet." Captain Rodriguez consulted her tactical display, though she almost couldn't believe what she was seeing. Where 5,000 alien warships had threatened their solar system just minutes before, there was now only empty space dotted with clouds of elementary particles. "Admiral, I'm reading 0 intact vessels in the target zone. The alien fleet has been completely eliminated." The silence that followed was profound. Every person in the communication network understood what had just occurred. Humanity had faced its first major test as a spacefaring species, and they had passed it in a way that no one in the galaxy would have predicted. "Prepare a message for broadcast on all galactic communication frequencies," Admiral Thompson ordered finally. "Let's make sure the rest of the galaxy understands what just happened here." Lieutenant Parker activated the broadcast systems, his hands no longer trembling. The message that went out from Sol System that day was simple, direct, and terrifying in its implications. "This is Admiral Sarah Thompson of the Solar Defense Force, representing the human species of Sol System. An alien fleet of 5,000. Warships entered our space with hostile intent. That fleet has been eliminated. We want to make it clear to all species within broadcast range. Humanity seeks peaceful relations with all galactic civilizations. However, any species that approaches our system with weapons charged and invasion intent will be met with the full defensive capabilities of our solar system. Sol System is under human protection. This is your only warning." The message was transmitted simultaneously in 47 different languages, using communication protocols gathered from 3 decades of intercepting alien transmissions. Within hours, it had spread across the local galactic region, reaching every major spacefaring civilization within 50 light years. Dr. Chun powered down the last of the Silent Storm installations and leaned back in his chair, suddenly feeling the weight of what they had accomplished. 30 years of secret construction, thousands of scientists working on compartmentalized projects without understanding the full scope of what they were building, and billions of credits diverted from the official defense budget. It had all come together in less than 4 minutes of actual operation. The response from the galactic community came faster than anyone had expected. Within 6 days, representatives from 12 different species had requested formal diplomatic contact with humanity. The Altarian Republic offered a full trade agreement. The Centauri Federation proposed joint scientific research projects. Even the mighty Andromedan Empire, which had never acknowledged humanity's existence before, sent a formal message of congratulations on their impressive defensive demonstration. But it was the message from the Zephyrian High Council that truly demonstrated how completely the balance of power had shifted. The empire that had conquered 47 star systems, that had never negotiated with a species they considered inferior, sent a formal apology for the unauthorized actions of their fleet and requested permission to establish peaceful relations. With the Solar Defense Force, Captain Rodriguez found herself promoted to admiral within a month, placed in charge of humanity's first formal diplomatic course. As she reviewed the flood of communication requests from species across the galaxy, she couldn't help but smile. Humanity had wanted to join the galactic community for decades, but they had always been dismissed as primitive newcomers. Now, every major power in the local galactic region wanted to be humanity's friend. The lesson was simple, and it spread quickly through diplomatic channels. Never underestimate a species that spends 30 years building research stations, because sometimes those research stations turn out to be the most sophisticated weapon system the galaxy has ever seen. And sometimes the quiet species that focuses on peaceful scientific research turns out to be the one species you definitely don't want to make angry. Sol System remained peaceful after that. Surprisingly peaceful, in fact. It seemed that when you could erase entire fleets from existence without firing a single conventional weapon, most potential enemies decided they had better things to do than test your resolve. Humanity never revealed the full technical specifications of Silent Storm to their new galactic allies. Some secrets, Dr. Chon argued, were best kept in the family. But the galaxy learned to respect the small yellow star and its collection of inhabited worlds. They learned that sometimes the most dangerous species is the one that takes 30 years to prepare for a fight that lasts 4 minutes. And in the end, that lesson served everyone well. Asterisk.